Guys, so today is going to be really nice and simple. You're really going to like it. We're going to talk about basically just exponents and kind of manipulating them so you can do it one way and then you can do it the other. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take it back to like probably 6th grade and just talk about exponents. So we know that 2 is the base. The little number is called the exponent or the power. The power tells you how many times you multiply the base. So 2 to the 5th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And you could do one of two things. You could put it in the calculator just like that 5 times and hit enter, or you can do 2 and then usually it's the caret key, which looks like this, and the 5. And we'll also give you 32. It's important to note that is not 2 times 5. Don't do 2 times 5. It's 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16, times 2, which is 32. So 2 to the 4th would be 2 multiplied how many times? 4. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. 2 to the 3rd is 2 multiplied 3 times, which is 8. 2 to the 2nd is 4. 2 to the 1st is just 1, 2. And now you would think that 2 to the 0th would be 0, but it is not. This is the thing. That's the easiest rule to remember, but people screw up the most. 2 to the 0th is actually 1. So one way to remember that is if you look at your numbers, to go from 32 to 16, you divide by 2. To go from 16 to 8, you divide by 2. 8 to 4, divide by 2, 4 to 2, divide by 2. So if you follow the pattern, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So make sure you write this down. Any number to the first power is itself. So here, 2 to the first power was just 2. 9 to the first is just 9. 210 to the first is just 210. 1 million to the first is 1 million. Anything to the 0th power is 1. So 10 to the 0th is 1. 1,523,000 to the 0th is just 1. Even if you had a variable like y to the 0th, it's just 1. So that's the first part of the lesson. Second part coming up. So there's little tricks with exponents that you can use. And it really comes when you have a negative number and you're raising it to an exponent. So from before, we know that if we have negative 3 to the first power, you're writing this number just once. So your answer is negative 3. Now, a lot of people will say negative 3 squared is negative 9. That is not true. Negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3. And negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. When you put this in the calculator, if you do not put the negative 3 in parentheses, you will not get the right answer. So see there, it's in parentheses. You get the right answer. Watch this. Not in parentheses. Wrong answer. That's because this one's reading it. You take the number negative 3 and you raise the whole thing to the second power. When you type it like this, it's telling you to take 3 squared and then the opposite of that number. So whenever you put it in the calculator, parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. All right, so if you have negative 3 to the third, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. we know negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9, and positive 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. And last but not least, negative 3 to the 4th is negative 3 4 times. So a negative 3 times a negative 3 is a positive 9. A positive 9 times a negative 3 is a negative 27. And a negative 27 times a negative 3 is a positive 81. So if you look here, there's a little pattern that emerges. If you look at your odd exponents, their answers are negative. If you look at your even exponents, your answers are positive. So here's a little trick. A negative number raised to an odd exponent is going to be negative. So if you had like negative 5 to the 7th, you know your answer is going to be negative. If you have negative 5 to the 13th, your answer is going to be negative. A negative number raised to an even exponent is always going to be positive. So negative 5 squared is 25. If you have negative 5 to the 60th power, you know it's going to be positive. If you have negative 5 to the 100th power, you know it's going to be positive. So even exponents will give you a positive answer. Negative exponents will give you a negative answer. All right, last but not least. This is just how it's going to pop up in IXL. So I want to make sure you are good to go. Obviously, 5 squared, 5 times 5. It is not 5 times 2. So your answer is 25. 6 to the 4th is 6 multiplied 4 times, which I cannot do that in my head. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to do 6 4 times, and I get 1296. And 10 squared is just 10 multiplied twice, and you get 100. So that part should be easy peasy. Now we have negative 6 to the 3rd power. So if you needed to do it the long way, negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6, throw it in the calculator, and you get negative 216. These we're going to do in our head because it's easier. I have a negative number squared by even exponent, so I know my answer is going to be positive. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. And negative 2 to the 3rd power, that is an odd exponent, so my answer is going to be negative. It is not going to be 6. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So my answer is negative 8. So down here it kind of reverses it a little. It's saying, if I had to raise to some power, what would that power have to be to give me 8? Well, you either know the answer, or you could just guess and check in your head. You can say 2 squared, what does that give me? 4, so that doesn't work. What about 2 cubed? 8, so the answer is 3. So now we have 7 to some power is equal to 343. Well, I know 7 squared is going to be 49, so it has to be higher than 2. So let me try 7 to the 3rd. Oh wow, look at that. Now I have 5 to some power equals 625. I know 5 squared is 25. Let's try 5 to the 3rd. Since 3 seems to be a lucky number, we get 125. So that doesn't match. So let's go up another exponent. 5 to the 4th, we get 625. Now this says 8 to some power is 1. Well, we know that anything to the 0th power is 1, so the answer is 0. Now we have 15 to some power is equal to 15. So what power does it have to be raised to get the same answer? 1. All right, last 3 problems, and then you are done for the day. Oh no! All right. So say we had a squared is equal to 100, and I wanted to know what a was. Automatically, you should kind of think, oh, 10 squared is 100. 10 isn't your only answer, however. Think about it. What is something else I can multiply by itself 2 times that will give me 100? -10. If I put a 10 in here, I get 100. If I put a -10 in here, -10 times -10 is positive 100. So what if I had x squared equals 9? What are the 2 numbers that x could be? Well, hopefully you realize 3 is one of them, but you could also have -3 to the 3rd power. And say you had b to the 4th, ooh, can you see this? Equals 256. Well, I might not have any idea what b is, but I could just try random numbers. If I have 3 to the 4th, does that give me 56? Nope. If I have 4 to the 4th, 256, does that give me 256? It does. So b can be 4, or it can be -4, because remember, any negative number raised to an even exponent will give you a positive. So -4 to the 4th is also 256. All right. You are just going to do a few practice problems, and then you are golden. So try these. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys. Oh, can you see that last one? I guess you don't have to do the last one because you can't see it.